Hey everybody, it's Anthony Stears here, aka the Telephone Assassin. I've been chatting with Jax recently and he's been telling me about his audience he's got over in South Africa that are all looking to boost their sales. So after reading my book, he's asked if I would share one of my favourite or the top tip that I can give people when they're on the phone making sales conversations. So I'm going to share with you my best tip. It's the one that will prevent pipeline constipation, and it's called TFR. It basically stands for take final responsibility, because I believe it is down to you to take final responsibility for the next time you're going to speak to people when you're in a conversation with them. So I'm going to give you a couple of ways or situations where you can apply this to your sales process, and it should help you to limit or at least reduce as much as possible that pipeline constipation. So my guess is that when you speak to prospects, sometimes you get asked to send information, or sometimes you may even get the chance to put forward a proposal or a quotation. I'm hoping that at the end of the conversation, when people are asking you this, you're not saying, okay, let me send you a quote and perhaps we'll catch up next week, or let me know if you've got any questions. This is what too many people do, and quite often you'll find that 2, 3, 4 weeks will pass, and not only have they not responded to your latest emails or voicemails, you feel that they have fallen off the face of the earth. So before you send anybody any information, when you're agreeing to send them information, before that conversation finishes, I always say to people, I'm more than happy to send this over. I'll probably get it to you by the end of the day, but realistically, when do you think you're going to get a chance to look at it by? So I now allow them to put a time frame on when they expect to have been able to review this information. So they set the time frame, I will then hold them accountable to it. So the most common answer I usually get is, oh, I'm sure I'll get a chance to look at it by the end of the week. In which case I always say, fantastic. Well, if there's any questions, then obviously do let me know. But could we just book in a 15-minute call on Friday afternoon so that if you haven't got round to looking at it yet, we could review it together. And if you have, then maybe I can answer any final questions or concerns. And then I always use the line of, I just want to make sure by the end of that conversation, you have all the information you need to make a decision of whether you think we're going to be a good fit or not. So that's how you can use the TFR when you're sending information or sending proposals out to prospects. Second application could be done on voicemails. If you're leaving voicemails for people because they're not answering, I would always do a TFR at the end of that voicemail to tell them when I'm going to try again. This is a fantastic way of ensuring that people realise you are not going to give up and that you're going to keep phoning. So here is a quick sequence of what my voicemails might sound like if you were to inquire through my website and I wanted to get back in touch with you. So occasionally I'll get an email that says, oh, hey there, you've been recommended, I've been on your website, could you send me some information about training and some costs? So it frustrates me slightly because I do have costs and programs on my website that people could look at, but I will often try and phone people the following day if they've inquired over the evening and say something along the lines of, oh, hello there, Jax. It's Anthony Stears here, the Telephone Assassin chap here. Thanks ever so much for your inquiry through my website. I'm more than happy to send you some information and some pricing, but I do need to understand a little bit more about you and your team and what it is you're trying to achieve. Would you mind giving me a call back on this number? And I'll leave my mobile number, and then I'll say, but don't worry, I've made a note to give you a call tomorrow afternoon if I haven't heard back from you. So that's how my first voicemail will end. My second voicemail will then go something like this. Hey Jax, it's Anthony Stears here, the Telephone Assassin chap. I don't know if you got my message yesterday, but I just wanted to reach out and see if you had a couple of minutes to tell me a bit more about your team and what it is you're trying to achieve from the training. If you get a chance, please do give me a call back on this number, and I'll leave my mobile again, but I'll say, but don't worry, I've made a note to give you a call on Wednesday afternoon if I haven't heard from you. What I will typically do is increase in the level of concern as to whether or not they got my previous message, but I will always tell them when I'm going to phone again. What you typically find is this tells people that you're following the 3 Ps, you're being polite, persistent, but patient, and quite often it will encourage people to either respond to your last email or to at least pick up the phone so that you can have an initial conversation. So hopefully this TFR you can weave into every part of your conversations, whether you're face-to-face, on the phone, in meetings, on Zoom. Always take final responsibility if you want to prevent or at least limit that pipeline constipation. So before I go, one last tip I would say is get yourself a post-it note, preferably a pink one if you can. Write TFR on it and stick it on your screen somewhere. I usually do as a little ear up in this top right-hand corner. It just reminds me at the end of every conversation, take final responsibility for the next time I'm going to speak to this person. So I'd love to know what happens when you get a chance to put this stuff into practice. So me and Jax are going to be talking again soon. So please connect with me on LinkedIn, but do share back with myself and Jax what happened when you started to take final responsibility, because I reckon that your pipeline will be moving that little bit faster. So good luck with those calls, and hopefully I'll speak to you soon. Take care.